And hello there, everybody, and welcome to the first chat we've had in a little while. This is the live chat for the evening of January 8th, 2022. I'm Big Pauly coming to you from Seminole, Florida. Had a PWT video we put up earlier in the day. I figured I should do a video. Here I go with the perpetual we again. Because this Cowboys-Eagles game that they're about to show on ESPN and ABC is a virtual exhibition game because neither team's going to play all that hard. I'm sure they both want to win, but they're both in the playoffs, so I don't know why they would put this game on Saturday night. Put it on Sunday with the whole menagerie of other games they're going to have on both CBS and Fox tomorrow. I was watching the Chiefs Broncos game with a little bit of interest because the Chiefs did have something to play for. The Broncos did not. And it was 28-21 late when with 5 minutes left, the Broncos decided to kick a field goal. Now you know why they didn't make the playoffs. There's AEW going on tonight, Battle of the Belts. I'm recording that on YouTube TV. By the way, I don't have cable anymore. YouTube TV rocks. That's all I'm going to say. Because you could record anything on YouTube TV on their menagerie of channels. So we haven't done one of these in a while. I think the last one I did on StreamYard was a walkthrough of Action PC Golf, which came out a little later last year because COVID and everything related to that. So pleasant good evening to you all. Late afternoon if you're on the West Coast, and if you're in England, you probably should be in bed by now. So nothing going on the phone. Just be you and me. I hope the lighting is acceptable because if I turn on my little light I had back when I was recording from Pinellas Park, it's just a little too bright for me. I have lights turned on in the back of the living room here, and I think that's helped out a bit. And I could see what's going on the game because I have that on the other monitor. So it's the Cowboys and the Eagles tonight. Like I said, the Cowboys have a little more to play for than the Eagles do. The Eagles, I guess, could improve position on their seeding. They clinched a wild card spot last week. And the Cowboys, if they win, and for some reason the Panthers are able to beat Tampa Bay tomorrow, they would get, I believe, the 2 seed in the NFC. If you're asking me about the Buccaneers and I think their chances are, they did very good as a 5 seed last year, going and winning the Super Bowl in Tampa. But can they do that 2 years in a row? It's tough these days, especially with free agency being what it is, for a team to repeat. I don't think it's an accident that the last time we had a repeat was New England, but that was back in the aughts. And I'm seeing it's 26 degrees in Philadelphia, and you got a whole bunch of fans just wearing jerseys and under, like they're wearing the jerseys over sweaters. So they got to be cold. Don't give them any cold drinks. Give them some nice coffee and some hot chocolate or something like that. Philly's going to get the ball first unless they turn it over on the kickoff because Dallas is lining up to kick it. Now, what I'm seeing on YouTube TV could be behind what's going on as you see it off of cable on your ABC or ESPN, or your ABC station, because ABC simulcasts all of this. I don't think they do a simulcast with the national championship game come Monday night between Alabama and Georgia. And let's see here. Yeah, they're kicking off from the 35. It looked like they were kicking off from farther up than the 35. Maybe there was a fight or something going on. But no, they're kicking from the 35. And as often happens these days, when they kick from the 35, it's a touchback and Philly will get the ball. So we'll keep you posted and apprised of what's going on with the Cowboys and Eagles game. Like I said, I don't think the Cowboys have a lot to they have more to gain by winning than the Eagles seem to do. Although the Eagles, maybe they move up in the playoff seed. I was surprised with this. You know, you had two playoff teams, so, and both of them are going to try to take it easy. Hurts is not in there for the Eagles, and the quarterback they have threw a pass that went over the leaping grab of one of their receivers, and it's incomplete. So it's 2nd and 10 for the Eagles. So tomorrow's games, I think the Raiders and the Chargers game is going to be the biggest one. And then we have the Bucks playing the Panthers at 4 o'clock. That's the big game for CBS. And at the same time, the Joe Buck crew does the 49ers and the Rams tomorrow. So if you're wondering about all of that, going to get to going back to the HTFL real soon. We're looking at doing probably starting that as early as Monday, depending on the schedule outside of my little hobby here, and I'm happy to be getting back to that. So I can't show you what's on my second monitor because it's the Eagles and Cowboys game. So I thought I would sit here and keep an eye on it for you in case maybe some of you didn't want to watch the game either and are thinking the same way that I am, that it's a glorified exhibition. Wanted to thank Rob for having me on a couple of nights ago. There's a pass, almost intercepted. No, but it was caught by an Eagle at the about midfield. Who is the quarterback for Philadelphia? He's wearing number 10. It's not Jalen Hurts. But this was nearly an interception, but number 6 for the Eagles was Johnny on the spot, got between two Cowboy defenders and made the grab. So they're at the 49-yard, just inside the Cowboy territory, and they ran a slant play for about 12 yards to get to the Dallas Cowboy 38. So I don't know. I don't know how tough, how much of an effort these teams are going to put in. Got AEW Battle of the Belts going on tonight, but as I was saying earlier, I'm taping that. And again, I had a blast with Rob. I don't think the video is up on YouTube. Rob and his guest decided to play that video from Ava somebody, not Ava Gardner, the actress that was very fond of Frank Sinatra back in the day, but Ava Louise or something like that. It's a name I've never heard of. And she is the woman who got paid $1,000 to lick a toilet seat, and I was like, "Oh God, really?" You know, I kind of find that disgusting. I don't know about you, but I don't think people. It's amazing what people do for money these days, and I guess COVID has some blame for that. But $1,000 to lick a toilet seat, I would pass on that. Couldn't even pay me 10 grand to lick a toilet seat. Ugh. But anyway, she was with Antonio Brown a week ago tonight. Antonio snuck her into his room at the hotel they were staying at before the Jet game, and some tawdry details were released about AB's performance in bed, which I'm not going to repeat here. But he came, apparently, no pun intended, came clean about the about the fake vaccination cards, and this woman was hypothesizing that a whole bunch of NFL players are using fake vaccination cards to beat the rap on that. So the Eagles have come out strong. They've marched to the 20-yard line of the Cowboys on this Saturday evening, where ESPN, ABC have the rights to two Week 18 games. I would love to see it, but I don't think the networks would ever go for it. They should do what baseball does, what World Cup soccer does, and they should play all the games at 4 o'clock. All 16 games at 4 o'clock. Let CBS use another network to air, games, or the Premier League in England does that too. They play all the games at one time, so each team doesn't know what the other teams are doing on the scoreboard. Or they would know what's going on the scoreboard, but it would be during the course of the game. Now the Eagles are at the 5 yard line. They ran for about 5 on first down. They have a second and goal. 4 minutes in, no score. So hope you all are doing well watching this live. And if you are watching this live, chime on in. I don't bite. And let me just double check and make sure I'm being heard here. Because I did that earlier. I forgot to set the audio settings on OBS. So I'm going to check and see if I am up. One moment, please. And now the Eagles are down to the 3 on third down. So I can watch my own recording here. Oh boy, isn't that fun? Okay. Why can't I watch my own recording? I want to watch my own recording. Okay, shareable link. I used to work for a syndicated radio network who had a guy named Stan Major on Touchdown Eagles, by the way. They've just taken the lead. And he would wonder if nobody was calling in what happened to his audience. So now I could just turn this on here. There we go. So I'm up and running, and you all can hear me. Now I have established that fact. And yeah, he would one night he would just turn on the radio. He would just turn on the local station he was on in Tampa. Stan's passed on, by the way, by a few years. And Stan he was a syndicated radio host in Miami, Philadelphia, Phoenix, a few other places. And he was once a correspondent for NBC News Radio. Once got to interview Bob Hope in Vietnam, and he was one of the Vietnam correspondents back in the late 60s, early 70s, I would assume. And that was a trick of his. When nobody was calling into his talk show, he'd have me play the sound of a motorcycle revving up. Get the Harley, Pauly. And Stan was a great guy. Stan was a great guy. So said I was one of the best board operators he ever had. But maybe he said that to others. I don't know. So here we are at now. See, I'm scrunching down to see what time it is. 8:25 in the p.m. I imagine everybody's either watching the football game or the wrestling tonight on TNT. Battle of the Belts, which they kind of nicked from Championship Wrestling from Florida. They had 3 pay-per-views in 85, Labor Day 85, February 86, and then Labor Day 86 that were called the Battle of the Belts. And the first card should have been a doozy, but it was from the USF Sundome, but it got wiped out due to Hurricane Elena. They were going to have Nick Bockwinkel come in to defend his AWA title. No, it was Rick Martel they were going to have. Rick Martel was the AWA champion back then, and he was going to defend against Nick Bockwinkel, but Martel couldn't travel to Florida because of Hurricane Elena, which is one of the more famous hurricanes here in Tampa because it went up the Gulf, it hung a right, and then it stalled. It got as close as about 50 miles to Tampa, and then it hit right around the Mississippi-Louisiana border. And by the way, hurricane season starts June 1st. So prepare now if you're living here in sunny Florida. So the Eagles drew first blood in the game, and they will have either 6-0 or 7-0 lead. I didn't see if they made the extra point. It's so weird that they would play a 17 game season. We're so used to having them play 16. They've been playing 16 game seasons since 1978, and now they have a 17 game season. What? You couldn't make the move to 18? Of course, if they had an 18 game season, the Super Bowl would be like late February. That was another curious decision as far as I go. 7-0, by the way. The Eagles hit their extra point, and their kickoff went well into the end zone for a touchback. So, is Dak coming out for him? Dak Prescott? Yes, sir. Um, but 18 games would have been better, if you ask me. And another funny thing about the schedule was that they didn't start on Labor Day. They started the Thursday night after Labor Day. And that's why we're going to have a Super Bowl February 13th. They're talking about moving the Super Bowl, by the way, to Dallas, Texas. And that Elliott 21, gashed the left side of the Eagles D line for 5 yards. Yeah, it is Ezekiel Elliott. Elliott had a good first couple of years for Dallas, but he's been injury riddled and kind of I wouldn't say slacked off, because if he's injured, that's not really his fault that he's not getting good numbers. And either Philly jumped or Dallas jumped. It's usually more than likely the Dallas jump. False start against Dallas, says Ron Torbert, the official for the night. So I hope you're enjoying the lighting, because like I said, I didn't know whether or not to turn this light on that I keep here on my side here in the living room. We'll just keep going for a while. So pretty much used up my material. HTFL coming back. I hope to get it started Monday. If not, it'll be like within a week or two. We suspended operations here on the channel after the first week. So as the spring progresses, I'm hoping to get season number 2. I did offline an alternate version of the HTFL for season 2. Tampa Bay did not do as well. I just played the Tampa Bay games, and they didn't do as well as anticipated. I'll let you in on that hint. But that was, like I said, an alternate version. So we'll see what happens in the real version, where we're going to play 5 games a week, and I'll play as the home team in every game. So Prescott just completed his first pass. Yeah, but they're already down 7-0. So you got all these teams you got the Eagles that are 9-7, trying to improve to 10-7. It's so weird. It's so weird to have a 17-game season, because you're going to have teams that are going to go 9-8, or 8-9, or 8-1. I guess the Steelers could still do that, right? So it's going to be interesting. PWT, I'm going to try to bring you every 3 days, as the world title is defended by Tiger Man John Pezic, or until he loses, and then it will be somebody else. Every 3 or 4 calendar days, I am hoping to get that going. That was kind of a germ of an idea that I came up when I was hospitalized. In case you missed my video from New Year's Eve, I was hospitalized due to diabetes. What happened was I was feeling chills and fevers. I thought I had flu-like symptoms, and I thought I had COVID. But the moral of the story is, you need to check your hands and you need to check your feet for unusual blemishes, because that's what happened to me. And on October 28th, I had my right big toe amputated, lost a little bone off my left foot. And the doctor said to me, "Pauly, you were 2 days away from losing your life. If you didn't come in, it would have done irreparable damage, and you probably would have died." So I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to be in a new place in Seminole. Unfortunately, those of you who knew my cat Harry had to go up for adoption because I did not really see a plausible way, at least until I was fully recovered, which I pretty much am now because I can shower and I can wear normal shoes again. I did not really conceive of a scenario where I could take care of him with any success. Um, might get another cat in another month or two, just because I wanted to get closure with having an animal, and I really didn't get that with Harry. My landlord came down from the Dakotas and took care of that for me. And Harry is up for adoption. Maybe Harry is still there. I don't think so. He was a real rowdy cat, and I was the only one who seemed to like. I was the only human being he seemed to like. So I don't know. I doubt he's still there. He's either passed on from being put down. He was being too rowdy with the other cats, or somebody took him. I don't really. If I wind up getting Harry back in a month or two, I'd be very, very surprised. By the way, I drink green tea, diet green tea. That's what I drink. So I don't want you all thinking that I drink booze. I don't think if you are a diabetic, you should be drinking booze. Should watch what I eat a little bit more. Cowboys are now down to the 14-yard line after a first and 10 gained 6 yards. 32 for Dallas just slashed them for six. If anybody's watching, let me know you're out there. I do not bite. And am I going to bring the meat back with Big Pauly? I did some of those in the spring. Yes. I am hoping. What I want to do with the meat is, yes, I want to interview some people again that we have had on. I would love to get some people that are really outside of the sports sim game that would come on with me. And Dallas just scored a touchdown, by the way, so it's 7-6 with the extra point coming. Cedric Wilson entertained us with a 15-yard touchdown reception. And they're showing the replay of the touchdown now. People drawing on the telestrator. And yeah, it was a square out to Wilson, and Wilson was like wide open. So we're a point away from a tie game on Saturday night in football. And of course, next Saturday will be the first round of the playoffs, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. They're going to play 2 games Saturday, 3 on Sunday, and 1 Monday night game. They're going to do a Monday night playoff game this year. So that's how that's going to work out. Looking forward to that. The thing about the playoffs this year, thing about the NFL this year, and I think COVID has some role in this, is that it was wide open. It was a wide open season. Once if you had the impression for a second that a team was going to be good and they're going to cruise and they're going to go all the way to the playoffs, think again, because things changed. Things changed on a dime. Look how Arizona started out 7-0, and then they lost to Green Bay. That was the night of my amputation, by the way. I was watching that game until they called me in, and Arizona struggled the rest of the season. Tampa Bay could not beat New Orleans, and they lost to Washington up there, and now I was in the hospital for that. Green Bay looked sluggish at times during the course of the year. They lost to Minnesota. They lost the opening game to New Orleans and Jacksonville because New Orleans could not play at the Dome because of one of the hurricanes that hit this year. Any team, you could think of out of the 32, there were times they looked good and there were times they looked bad. The Rams, you thought the Rams were going to coast, and then they struggled in the middle of the season. They lost to Tennessee and they lost to San Francisco. San Francisco blew them out in up in 49er country. So every team you could think of, every team that could make the playoffs, because you still got a few teams on the outside looking in. You got the Saints, I think, still with a shot at it. You got the Ravens and the Steelers, and one other team I'm trying to think of. Every team you could think of that it's going to make the playoffs did have a stretch where they didn't look good. So good luck picking a winner when we get to the playoffs next week. If you and I feel the same way about the Buccaneers. I'd love to see the Buccaneers go back to back and win Super Bowls like the Lightning won back to back Stanley Cups this year. But who knows? Who knows? Brady just lost Antonio Brown, of course. I think they have good receivers that could fill his shoes. That's going to put a lot of pressure on Mike Evans to do well for the Bucks, and maybe Gronkowski. Gronk's going to have to pick up the slack a little bit, although he played great against the Jets last week. Take another sip here. They're replaying the touchdown that Dallas just scored to tie the game at 7-7. But can the Bucks repeat? Obviously, anybody's got it. It's one of those years where everybody's got a chance. And if you want to predict who's gonna be there at the end, good luck, because it's one of those seasons where any team, any of the 14 teams that make the playoffs, the Bills are one of these teams that underperformed for a stretch. And then they came back strong and beat the Patriots not too long ago. Uh, any team, any team that makes the playoffs has a very good chance of winning it all this year. It's not like last season where maybe a few teams had a chance. Although nobody saw the Buccaneers coming. So 4:45 left in the first quarter. It is a 7-7 tie right now between Philadelphia and Dallas. We'll keep you posted. Heck, I might just stay on while the game's going on, but we'll see. So I was talking about Seminole, Florida. What's interesting about living here is I was a graduate of Largo High School. By the way, congratulations to Gene Chizik getting the head coaching job at North Carolina this year for the next season, because I think it was he's going to be with the Tar Heels. Chizik, his father, Gene Chizik Sr., was my high school principal in the ninth when I went to Largo High School in the ninth grade. And Largo and Seminole had a high school rivalry here. It was big in the 70s, wasn't so big in the 80s because Largo would just clean Seminole's clock. Although Seminole did have some good years around the turn of the century. But Largo and Seminole were like the big rivalry here in Pinellas County, one of the big rivalries. Although they played in the middle of the season because Largo had another rivalry with Clearwater High, and that was usually like the Thanksgiving night game here, although that got scrapped and now they play at random points during the season. But Largo, it's like a Red Sox fan living in New York or a Yankees fan living in Massachusetts, living here in Seminole, because I'm a Largo guy and I'm in Seminole, Florida. But it was the Packers and the Warhawks. That used to be back when I was a little itty bitty kid. That was like one of the big games Largo would play. And my babysitter would go to Largo High and she would take me to a high school game or two. And one of my mom's friends had a kid that went to Seminole, and one time I got to see Seminole play another good team, St. Petersburg, St. Pete High, the Green Devils, and they had a coach by the name of Jim Miwa who was very good, and he was kind of like our John Madden eventually. When they would televise the high school games here in Pinellas County. And one year they went undefeated. It was 1984, and they went up and played a little team called Escambia High in Pensacola, and they had a very good running back there named Emmett Smith. You might have heard of him. And Escambia wound up winning the state title that year over St. Pete by a wide margin. So, another good thing about By the way, I wanted to give another shout out to Digital to Dice podcast because I would listen to that while I was in the hospital, and that kind of kept me going and kept me thinking about the sports game hobby. New sports games are kind of taking the realm. Legends of boxing. I see everybody playing Legends of boxing. See our Red Sox fan doing playing that, and some others. We got Action PC Baseball 22. I haven't caught up to that yet, but I hope to in the near future. So Action PC Baseball 22 has come out. Uh, what else has come out recently that people are playing? That's pretty much it. Another season of Action PC hockey going on. I haven't really followed hockey all that much. The one drawback with YouTube TV is they don't have the Bally sports channels. That comes kind of like separate. So I haven't really been following on what the Lightning have done, and I'm hoping, but by the time the Rays get started again in March, that I could get the MLB app and watch them that way. At least, even if I watch them on delay, their home games, that's fine. And hello, Al Red Sox fan. How are you, sir? And enjoying the wrestling matches? Yeah, I figured I'd start with that first because I had a good idea as to what I wanted to do with that, and hoping in the next few days to get restarted with the HTFL. So 7-7, 3.5 minutes left in the first quarter. Think as I'm watching that on the other monitor here. Um, but I recommend YouTube TV to everybody because that's only 64.99, but I get a $10 rebate for the first 3 months. So it's very, very good. So if you ever want to cut, you think you're paying through the nose for your local cable, and I thought I was with Spectrum here in the Tampa Bay area, and yeah, Prescott just gashed them for another big game. And so they are probably into Eagle territory right now. Yeah, the PWT was an idea I had been playing around with when I was in the hospital, and it's based on the territory system, of course, and it's going to be fun because it's going to be like it's before cable TV got started, so fans weren't smart as to why you could have a guy in one region be a good guy, another guy in another region be a bad guy, and the only way you could keep track of that was if you had Pro Wrestling Illustrated. I used to love the After Mags, as they were called back in the day. What was your thought process on scrapping your prior wrestling promotion? Uh, that's a good question, Al. I just felt it was time to do something new. I just felt after nearly 4 years, the GSW had run its course. Um, could have kept going with it, but I had changed it around so many times that I figured it would be a good idea just to start fresh with something new. Tom had just come out with the latest roster set that had AEW guys and Ring of Honor guys in it, and I figured I think AEW is gonna catch the WWE by 2025, maybe a little sooner than that, because I was watching Raw on the DVR that you get from YouTube TV, and yeah, everything, the not the matches, but all of the dialogue they have outside of the ring just seems so forced and so. Ugh. I don't want to say scripted because everything in wrestling is scripted, but it just seemed forced, and it just seems that uh, back in the day, back in the 80s and 90s, they would just give the guy his bullet points. Jim Cornette was just saying that on a recent podcast. You give the guy his bullet points and you let him take it from there. But I think every it seems like you could just tell that every little piece of dialogue between the wrestlers is thought about, and it's like they have to say it word for word, and these guys don't have a lot of freedom. Plus, the way WWE does things, I think, has gotten a bit predictable. Like I was watching it this morning, watching Monday Night Raw this morning. I'm going to try to catch SmackDown tomorrow before the ball game started. Like the Becky Lynch, when Becky Lynch was shooting the shit with Liv Morgan and Bianca Belair. Once they started fighting, you know that the two good girls were going to start fighting Morgan and Belair because you've seen it like 100 times. AEW brings old school wrestling back and tones down the high flying poop. They could have a chance to also scale down the false finishes. Oh yeah, they do a lot of false finishes. You're very right about that, Al. The high flying stuff, I just think that's what they do nowadays. But if you keep bringing in the guys who can fly, you're going to have guys come down with like who is the guy that got injured in that tag team match where Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, Austin Madison from Big Brother, by the way, Big Brother 17, plays Luchasaurus. Ray Phoenix. Ray Phoenix injured his arm. He just like it looked like a very bad dislocation, and it turned out it was more of a routine injury than anything else. Yeah, if they just do technical wrestling and they don't do the high flying stuff, then they hit the sweet spot. You're absolutely right, Al. I think AEW. Another thing AEW does is they take the WWE talent, like they got Daniel Bryan, who's Bryan Danielson, and CM Punk, and I think what they're going to do with that is they're going to build up the AEW guys. I think that's very smart booking. CM Punk has that feud with MJF. So they're going to use Punk to build MGF, and they've already pretty much used Danielson to boost up Hangman Adam Page. They should still do high flying, just tone it down a bit. Yeah, I totally agree. Uh, who I think AEW ought to go for because WWE just released him was Mr. Regal, William Regal, or Steven Regal, if you wish, because he went by both names in WCW and WWE, WWF. I think they should get Regal. I know Tony Schiavone is friends with Regal, so I would look for AEW to pick him up. And Regal was a guy who could wrestle, and he didn't really depend on all the high flying stuff. They should make the WWE guys like a new Four Horsemen or an NWO. Yeah, I guess they could do that, but the question is, they've done groups so many times, and that's kind of what they did with Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Hulk Hogan back in '96. I think that AEW will want to be different, give the fans something new. Storyline could be we have to band together because these a-holes are. Yeah, yeah, that's kind of that's how the NWO got started in '96, along those lines. Yeah, and the NWO was a gimmick. Actually, that was copied from, I think it was New Japan did that a while ago, where maybe some All Japan guys went to New Japan or vice versa, and that was kind of a gimmick they borrowed from Japanese wrestling. Absolutely. But it worked. It worked here for. It got WCW to the top, ahead in the Monday Night Wars for a while, but then WWE came up with their Attitude Era, and they caught up and they overtook WCW, and WCW was floundering after a while. by 1999 they had given up the ghost on the NWO for a while. And Turner, I don't know, was Turner responsible, but if you've read J.J. Dillon's book, Wrestlers Are Like Seagulls, they were losing $5 million, WCW was, a month. A month. So they were losing 60 million a year. How does a company stay in the, well, federal government does the same thing. 60 million. 60 million, they were 60 million in the red, but they were Turner's organization, or Time Warner AOL by that time. They were doing so good with CNN and some other channels that I guess they could take the $60 million hit in WCW. That's why they merged with WWE eventually. Horrible contracts. Absolutely right, Al. And if you're paying guys guaranteed money, and I think between a whole bunch of podcasts they have documented this, that if you pay guys guaranteed money, that they're not, that number one, they're not really going to be motivated to perform, because that's not how that wasn't how the WWE was structured. Uh, you pay guys, well, I guess it was like 1 million or 2 million, and they were paying a lot of guys maybe seven-figure territory. And they don't show up, and the house goes, well. They weren't really doing house shows by the turn of the century. WCW was. They were $60 million a year to lose. By the way, Cowboys have gone up 10-7, and the first quarter ended with the Eagles in Cowboy territory. So they're going back and forth a little bit. The Goldberg story ended too soon. Yes, I would totally agree with that. And if I was going to pick a guy to win the end of the streak, I wouldn't have picked Kevin Nash. I thought that was terrible. So what do you do? But I think AEW really has a chance. I think they have the best chance to topple WWE. I was watching Raw earlier, if you're just tuning in, on the DVD feature of YouTube TV. McMahon looks like crap. Vince McMahon looks like crap. And the way he lost was horrible. Absolutely, Al. Um, uh, how old is Vince McMahon? I'm going to ask Siri here. Hang on. He's got to be past 75. How old is Vince McMahon? Okay. Hang on a moment, everybody. Because remember, Vince was doing the Madison Square Garden matches, I think, as early as like 72 or 73. 1945. So this year he turned 77. August, I think it was 24th, 1945. Uh, so yeah, and he's still in there, and he's doing angles. Not Kurt Angle. Doing an angle of some young fellow whose name I can't remember right now. I know Al might know it, and one of you in the audience might know it. But they do this. He's doing this angle with a young wrestler, which he sounds like this. It's not. He looks like Vince should probably just retire and let Stephanie and Trips run the show. It's just the only person I ever. Roman Reigns, yeah, and Roman Reigns had COVID, caught COVID around the New Year, so they had to improvise a match where Brock Lesnar won a championship. But it wasn't Reigns' title; it was the title. Was it Big E? No, was it Bobby Lashley or Big E Langston held the other title? Hold on, folks. I got a cough. Had too much popcorn before I did this. Yeah. Um, I would love to see WWE. I know they got two shows and they got two brands. I'd love to see I think titles mean more when you have fewer titles, and that's kind of what I did with PWT. I just wanted those three titles and have them go on tour and just go to all the various circuits. But I would love to see the WWE just unify the titles, and you have one champ appear on Raw and one champ appear on SmackDown. Uh, I'm not saying the same titles. I'm saying they should just have one title. They should have one, like WWE champ should be. It shouldn't be two champions. It should be one. Take the U.S. and the intercontinental titles and you merge those. Take the tag team titles and you merge those. I think when you have fewer titles, everything means a little more. And they have way too many titles. Yes, Al, that's very, very true. That's what I'm saying. When you have all these championships, and I don't mind a 24/7 title. I think that's a nice little improv title, and I hope they keep that. But of course, Gronk once held the 24/7 title at one point. But I hope they would just keep, like, a one world champ, one tag team champion, and one like mid card championship. I don't think you need all these titles that they have. But AEW does that to an extent. They have, for heaven's sake, they have two. They have a women's championship, and then they have I think they call it the TBS title. AEW for one circuit has way too many titles. They got, like I said, two ladies titles, which I don't think any major promotion in the United States. WCW had a women's champion, and then they had a lighter weight class women's champion, but that was like near the very, very end of their existence, like around 2000 or so. Women's wrestling, too much women's wrestling. Yeah, I'd like to see them cut that back a little bit. I think Britt Baker is very good. But do they need like all these women? They have one small like Japanese girl on their roster. How are you going to convince me that somebody like that, like a girl that's maybe not even 5 feet tall and maybe not even 100 pounds, is going to beat some behemoth woman that's like 220? How are you going to convince me that she can hold her own against some of the talent AEW has? The one thing I like about AEW, they do a few things right. Like they'll tell you the time limit in advance, like it's going to be a one fall 20-minute time limit. WWE doesn't do that. The win loss records that they mention all the time, I like that. It seems to me like the WWE did. Should put this up here. What it did was, in their own way, they have territories by having all these different rosters for different shows. In a sense, yeah, Al. NXT, the NXT circuit, they would do a whole bunch of matches here in Florida. Like they had a very small arena, like a VFW wall or something like that. And not too far from where when I was living in Pinellas Park, they would hold matches in Largo, and that NXT was kind of what became. They did have a minor league Florida circuit, and they would run matches here locally. They had an arena off of, I want to say Dale Mabry and Gandy, not too far from MacDill Air Force Base here, and that became NXT. Doesn't work in my opinion. That's true. I would agree with that. I would agree with that wholeheartedly. The problem, I don't think we're ever going to go back to a territory system. I think you're going to see some juggernauts come up. Like Impact Wrestling for a long time thought they could compete with WWE, and even though they got guys like Hulk Hogan and Kurt Angle, they could not compete on the WWE's level. Ring of Honor is pretty much shut down, I think, or winding down. They try to, you can't compete on the WWE's level, but AEW might because of the deep pockets of Tony Khan. Um, I think they have the best chance of dethroning the WWE. I don't know if they're going to succeed at this point because a lot of things could happen over the course of a few years. Like Al pointed out, they're way too dependent on high flyers. And they're going to run into potholes like they. I don't know how long Ray Phoenix is going to be out, if he's going to be out. Um, so there you go. They're in commercial when well, at least as I'm seeing it with the Eagle Cowboy game. Last I saw it was 10-7 Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. I had a good friend on Facebook who lived in Philadelphia. I think she's come down here and is living on the Gulf beaches. And she was a big Eagles fan back when they won the Super Bowl a few years ago against the Patriots. Of course, everybody was kind of hating on the Patriots by then, but we didn't know we were going to wind up with Tom Brady a few years later. So showing something here on AEW, not AEW, but I'm watching the game off the ABC station. By the way, if you get YouTube TV, you get all of the local programming on the network affiliated stations. Like here in Tampa, if you go to Fox, and Fox doesn't have a show on, you're watching Channel 13 here at WTVT here in Tampa. Same with Channel 8, NBC, Channel 10, CBS, and ABC is 28. Oh, the Eagles have evened it up 10-10 very early in the second quarter. The NWA doesn't promote itself too well. Do you know who runs the NWA? Bruce Farp, I believe, still runs the NWA. Bruce was the ring announcer in the 80s for Championship Wrestling from Florida. Uh, so I can't really knock Bruce all that much. His father was the longtime ring announcer for the Orlando Cards for CWF. If you watch CWF from the early 80s, Bruce Farp was, I would say, late in his teens, early 20s. And he would be the guy that would introduce the match. And he succeeded Mike Moore, who I think went into baseball, was a baseball, not a general manager, but somebody who worked for one of the baseball organizations. Be right back, says Al. Okay. And Bruce Clark would later become a referee, a troubleshooting referee in the later days of CWF before they folded in 1987. And one of the things that led to that was Crockett took over CWF and they wanted to give Gordon Soley a pay cut, and Gordon wasn't going for it. So Gordon left the company. Steve Kern, now here's an answer to a trivia question: who succeeded Gordon Soley calling the matches for CWF? They only ran for a few more weeks after Gordon left, and it was Steve Kern, the wrestler, who did the play-by-play and the commentary. And it was always like, by that point, Gordon was doing it by himself. He used to have Buddy Colt do the color, and Steve Kern did it, but they were not doing matches at the Sportatorium very long. They had a Florida champion, but they shut the doors on CWF in '87. They did come back with PWF in '88, '89, but that didn't last long. They brought Dusty Rhodes in, and then Dusty went to the WWF. So that's how that crumbled. 10-10. I was talking earlier about how weird the NFL has been this year. I think COVID had a lot to do with that. You think one team was getting red hot, and then somebody would come on and knock them off. Oh, nice catch there. Prescott's still in the game. Nice catch and run, number 88. Caught it just outside the 50 and ran for about another 10, 15 yards down to the Eagles' 40. Yeah, nice little catch and run. He bounced off of two defenders and got free. Actually, three guys could have tackled him on the Eagles. That's C.D. Lamb, number 88, wearing that great 88 that so many. Surprised number 88 wasn't retired when Michael Irvin was playing for Dallas. Maybe, so, 88 would be a common number for a receiver. Excuse me, folks. I got a burp. 88 would be a common number for a receiver. If you ever watch my HTFL games, when Dallas plays and they got three wide or four wide, it's always an 88. An 88, there are 88s all over the field because I don't change the numbers. I just let them go as they are. And like I said, I want to get back to doing the HTFL probably. Hope to do it this week. I know Rob wants to have me on his show again Tuesday night to talk some NFL, and I want to do that for him, Lord willing, and if the creek doesn't rise, one of my sayings. And Elliott just gained another few yards for Dallas. A good game, but there was Adam Schefter was talking about, oh, so and so's not going to start, so and so's not going to start, and it kind of put a pall over the game. Not me, Paul, Pall. But Dallas, the Eagles, without Jalen Hurts, they're hanging tough with the Cowboys. And I guess the thinking was why ABC took the Cowboy game is because you got a lot of Cowboy fans all over the country, and you get the Eagles, who are a Northeast market, you know, big populace in the Northeast, like from say Washington, Baltimore, all the way to the north and east to Boston, of course, where Al is. And I'm just watching what's going on with this game. Cowboys kind of need the win. And I was saying this earlier, if you're just tuning in, the Cowboys need the win. I would think a little bit more than the Eagles do, because if the Cowboys win and the Bucks lose, I think they get the 2 seed in the playoffs. The playoffs are going to be a crapshoot this year. I don't really see a dominant team. You could see I could see a wild card team making the Super Bowl either from the AFC or the NFC pretty easily, because it's so scattered. Green Bay has been the best in the NFC, but they have run into potholes just like every other team that's going to make the playoffs this year. Uh, who's to say a team doesn't go up to Lambeau and knocks them off? Say like a Dallas or an Arizona. Arizona's been Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, look what they did with the Cowboys last week, when nobody was expecting the Cowboys to lose to Arizona. I think they were pretty significant favorites. But Arizona comes along and knocks off Dallas, and Arizona hasn't looked all that good most of the second half of the season. So this is going to be a very interesting playoff field because, like I said, anything can happen. The teams that looked good, like for instance, when I was in the hospital for most of November, all the teams that looked good in September and October all seemed to stagger a little bit come November. The Rams. I was watching that game between the Rams and the 49ers in San Francisco, and the 49ers blew them out. Just things always change from like week to week to week in the NFL. And there was a sportscaster here in the Bay Area, Chris Thomas, who passed away several years ago. And he used to say that the NFL was the league where it was aptly named because there was no freaking logic. I'm sure maybe in his off-air exploits he used a stronger word than freaking, but you get my point. Alabama and Georgia. I wanted to talk about the national championship game a little bit. I think Alabama's going to win. I'm going to tell you why, because they got Saban. You give Saban more than a week to prepare for a game. Somebody's got to look into this. What Alabama's record is when they have more than a week to prepare for a game. I know they're not undefeated, but they probably got a very good record because, of course, Alabama lost to Clemson here in Tampa a few years ago. I like Bama. Yeah, I think Alabama will win. They're dogs. I think they're like 2 to 3 point underdogs in on the line. But you gonna bet against Nick Saban in a big game? I'm not. Of course, Georgia seems to be haunted every time they play Alabama. That SEC championship game where they were humbled by Alabama, and the quarterback for Alabama had that big game. Bryce Young, I think his name is. Again, somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, but I, I don't know what Georgia can do differently against Alabama. Now the game's going to be in Indianapolis, so it's not going to be home cooking for either team. Um, but I wouldn't bet against Alabama in come Monday night. I would love to see the playoffs get expanded to 16 teams. I think six. I know they were talking earlier this year about 12, but I think 16, and you got to have all the conference champions in there. Yes, you're going to have some, maybe lackluster matchups as the Cowboys just scored another touchdown, so they're ahead again, 16-10 with the extra point coming. You're going to have some lackluster matchups in the first two rounds, but I would love to see teams get that chance. Like, say, somebody wins the MAC championship and they have to play Alabama in the first round. I would not object to that happening. And you have, let's say, I think we have 10 conferences now in college football, and maybe, Notre Dame has a good year. You throw them in. Maybe you take the best independent if they go 8-4 or better. Maybe we get the independents to play each other. All the independent schools play each other and kind of form their own conference. But I think that the playoff should be, inclusive and not exclusive. And I'm not a big fan of them expanding the playoffs and not giving more conference champions a chance at it. Get rid of the conference playoff games, aka championships game. I would approve of that. I would just say, take the best team, and that's one thing they can do to have expanded playoffs, because you have that week where Army and Navy are playing, and then they go to the bowls. You take that first bowl week, and you could play the 8 first round playoff games in that. Bowls are a joke anyway, outside of the national semifinals and then the final. Look how many games got canceled and rearranged because they couldn't field teams due to COVID. And COVID's hitting everybody right now. That it's not going away, so they're going to have to find ways around when this happens. I mean, the Gator Bowl, which was close to me up at Jacksonville, they had I forget who the scheduled opponent was for West Virginia, but they pulled out, and Rutgers came in and played West Virginia. Was it West Virginia? Oh well. See, it's easy to forget these things because there are so many bowl games. I would much rather see games mean something instead. And Miami of Florida pulled out, and Central Michigan wound up playing Washington State in the Sun Bowl. Use the 8 major bowls as the playoff venues, exactly. And you could have actually you could use 15 of the bowl games, because you would need 8 for the first round, 4 for the quarterfinals, 2 for the semifinals, and the one championship site is not connected to the bowls anyway. So yeah, I'd have a 16-team playoff, and I would say, okay, every conference, or it's kind of like what they did in the early days of the NCAA basketball tournament. You look back in the 70s. Well, it was like a tournament of champions for a while, and then by 76, they went to 32 teams because that was the year Indiana was the last team to go undefeated, and they beat Michigan the night that they were running the Academy Awards on ABC. and Elliot Gould gave away the result. Imagine if we had had a DVR system back in 1976, and Elliot Gould was saying, "Oh, Indiana won 86-68." And hello to Harris Jessup, who I was chatting with on Rob's channel a couple of nights ago. Thank you for chiming in, sir. We were just talking about college football and what I would do if someone made me the decision maker. Yeah, that's what I do. I do a 16-team tournament. And oh, by the way, Cowboys hit their extra point, so it's 17-10, and we're midway through the second quarter. Up at the Sits in Philadelphia. I have said all along, all league champs should be in the playoffs. Yeah, yeah, that's what they do in FCS, right? Don't tell me who won the FCS, because I DVR'd that earlier today too. No, it was Montana State and North Dakota State, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to watch that either tomorrow or Monday. And let's see here. Yeah, I'm just watching the game, Eagle game. Who is number 10 for Philadelphia? Who is the quarterback? If he could just turn around so I could. Gardner Minshew. Okay, he used to play for Jacksonville. Minshew 3. It says on the back of his jerseys. Back on the jersey. Yeah. I would love to see college football do an expanded playoff, but they got to make it 16. Don't give anybody buys, because I have a feeling with the NFL that giving buys just screws it up for everybody. How many times back when they had 12 teams in the playoffs did we see that one seed or two seed had to take a week off and then they would lose because the other team is red hot? Okay. Hang on, folks. I see we have somebody talking about Nazis and Hitler and thank you, F you, goodbye, as Jim Cornette would say. So thank you for that. You woke me up a little bit. Pauly, make me a mod. Make you a mod? Okay. Let's see if I can do that. How do I do that in here? That's a good question, because I've never had that happen. Okay. Hang on, folks. I want to make you a mod, Al, but I've never had this come up, so I don't know how to do it. I see the green, the dots here. It says put user in timeout, block user. I blocked the user. Make you a mod. How the heck do I do that in here? Still looking into it, folks. Okay. Go on YouTube to do it. What the hell? Steeler fan, what the hell is your channel becoming, Pauly? Don't know what you mean by that, Steeler fan. Hello to you, sir. So I gotta go into YouTube to do it? Have to go through YouTube. I'm sorry, Steeler fan. We got we have people who want to come on here and be idiots. Okay. I'm sorry, Steeler fan. We got Okay. There we go. There we go. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, Al, you should be modded. Al knew exactly what I was doing. Sorry, Steeler fans. Hey, we got people who come on here and become idiots. That's all I can say. They probably troll all these chats where there's a handful of people in there, and everything's about being a Nazi, I guess. Oh well. I'm sure I'm not the only person with that problem. Also, when you live stream, make it only for subs for at least 20 minutes. Oh, that's a plan, Al. See, Al's giving me some pro tips here. Uh, I take it I got to do that through YouTube too, right, Al? So anyway, I apologize for the idiot, but pardon me. Even at these games, you got streakers or people wanting to make political points. So yes, says Al. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Never had that problem happen before. Well, maybe once or twice. I think I had it actually happen on Twitch uh, when I was doing Twitch, and I know when Ron does his streams, he sometimes runs into trouble like that. Ron's doing 1985 now, doing a more modern season. Turn on subscriber mode. That is what Al is talking about. Okay. I will look into that right now. So you're going to hear myself talking a few seconds before. Uh, Here we go with that. So you're going to hear myself talking. See, that'll screw you up so easy. Okay. Subscriber only. Manage moderators. Toggle timestamps. Timestamps are not a bad idea. So how on earth would I do manage moderators? Okay, Al. Let's see. All that aside, hello, Pauly and chat. Oh, how you doing, Steeler fan? That was pretty wild. That was pretty effing wild. Uh, Hello, Matt says, Al Red Sox fan. So how do I make this subscriber only? I'm thinking about doing that right now, so we don't have that crapola happen again. Not seeing it. Not seeing what I should be seeing. Take it. So weird to see me a few seconds after my moves here. So go to manage my videos in YouTube. Okay, there we go. Go to your videos. All right. Learning on the fly here, folks. Settings might be it. Okay. Manage my videos. Not seeing where that would be. It'll come to me. It'll come to me. I could always go YouTube. And what happened in the game? I think the Eagles tied it. Manage my videos. Okay. When in doubt, go to the search engine. The studio. Hang on, folks. One moment, please. This could be a tutorial for others. Yes, exactly. Exactly, Steeler fan. How's your Glory Days boxing coming along, Steeler fan? I was wondering if you used the new. We were talking about this before going to the hospital. They had come out with a quick system to do the fights, and we were talking about whether or not to do it. Uh, okay, okay. So many different. By the way, I want to acknowledge some people who are recent subscribers, subscribed, even though I was inactive for a little while. Phil Koch, Henry Feuerstein, and Lawrence Nord. They have all become subscribers in the last few months. I picked up 3 subscribers, even though I hadn't been doing videos for a while. Okay, go to studio, left menu, select videos. Left menu, select videos. Okay, maybe okay, but it doesn't say. See, this is the problem with using the search engine is that you might use something that's dated because YouTube changes things from time to time. So I'm going to go to content because content probably be nope, 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 not there, not there. Okay, view and manage videos. Okay, hang in there, folks. Actually, this might be more entertaining than the chat. Luke Brown, hello. Luke Brown, hello. Kansas City, hello. Like great Larry King. Dashboard, maybe? I still got that community guideline strike from long, long time ago. Okay. 754 views, watch time 49.6 hours. 18 viewers for this chat that I am doing right now. And that's the highest I have had for a while. Okay. Then again, I haven't done much in a while. It's okay, Pauly. Just come back to us, make Steeler fan and Luke mods. I have to go. Okay, that will be done. Probably need to refresh. Oh! Am I losing bandwidth here? Okay, and yeah, I'll make Luke a mod, and I'll make Steeler fan a mod. Okay, abracadabra. Well, that was a fun few minutes, or so. Yeah, we're tied 17 all, 3:26 to go in the Cowboys and Eagles game. Al, take care. Probably be dropping in on one of your live streams in a while. I want to get back to doing live streaming. What I want to do is maybe do the videos in the evenings on Twitch and just do everything like we call it like a work session or something like that, and then release them. I want to try to get back to doing that, uh, doing stuff on Twitch first, like Ron does, and then putting the videos up on YouTube the day after. When did who start? Good to see you. Isn't it good to see BP back at it? Oh, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here. Any day for me right now that I'm above ground is a good day. Uh, Steeler fan says still going strong with the glory days, all 8 divisions, and a junior lightweight tournament going on. Yes, I use the express play. Yeah, I tried that in my recovery. I tried that when I was living in Pinellas Park up until I moved here on December 30th, the Seminole, and I tried that with a fight with Tim Witherspoon and Jerry Cooney, and Cooney got knocked down 3 times in the first 2 rounds, but he won the fight because Witherspoon sustained a cut. So that was kind of interesting. So I think we are still tied, and it probably just went to the 2-minute warning in Philadelphia. 17 all. Showing a thing from the NFLPA. The Antonio Brown thing. Let me talk about that again for a minute. I do feel a little twinge of maybe I'm doing something wrong, being dissing him. I was dissing him all over the place on my Facebook page. Not the big Pauly's World of Sports Gyms, but me talking on Facebook. The fans here in Tampa Bay are very hurt about what happened with him and how he just took off his uniform and stalked off the field up in New York last week. But I think what you're going to see in the coming years with sports is the mental health of these players, which we as fans tend to ignore, is going to become more and more of a problem because we as fans expect these athletes to perform whenever the lights go on and all of that. And within the past few months, we had Simone Biles not compete in events in the Tokyo Olympics. She was one of the many gymnasts that were, I believe, allegedly fondled by that one ridiculous doctor up in Michigan. And you had the female tennis player from Japan, Osaka, have to pull out of Wimbledon and pull out. Did you play in the U.S. Open? I'm not sure. And now you've had this saga of Antonio Brown. First off, I don't believe. First, there's evidence that's come to light that Brown was with a woman the night before a game. That doesn't show me any loyalty because when you're in your room, you're supposed to be there by yourself. You're not. And I'm not saying Brown's the first ever player to do that. I mean, you're not going to tell me Paul Hornung ever did that because Paul Hornung was a big ladies' man when he was playing for the Packers in the '60s. I just use that one name as an example. Women are going to go where the athletes are, and it's been that way for time immemorial. But I think you're going to see in the future, rightly or wrongly, that the mental health of these players, and keep in mind, Antonio plays a game where maybe the protection of right as I say that, a Cowboy player gets hit at the 3-yard line. He catches a pass at the sideline, and an Eagle was right there, hit him squarely. And you got an official. Maybe there was a flag on the play against Dallas. I will just check that for a moment. But I think Antonio Brown's a con artist. I don't think he was. He looked perfectly fine on the ankle he apparently injured when he was prancing off the field, as one of my Facebook friends was saying in this week that has gone on between Antonio Brown's exodus from the Bucks and now. And the Cowboys did I thought they had scored a touchdown, but the receiver 19 had a foot out of bounds. Do I think AB will play again? He might not. Why would a team take a chance on him? Even a USFL team, if they launch as everybody seems to think that they will in the spring, why would you take a chance on him? Why would any NFL team take a chance on him? And I know there are rumors and he threw Tom Brady under the bus. What kind of teammate does that? But I think this is going to be the future of sports, where you're going to have mental health issues with these players be exposed, and some of these players are just going to bullshit all of us. If I could be blunt about it, and I think Antonio Brown is a bullshit artist, and that's how I feel about it. And Antonio had a history. I thought the Bucs should have cut him when it came out that he had these fake vaccination cards because and I don't think Bruce Arians or Tom Brady should be overlooked when it comes to who needs to be blamed for all of this. I mean, obviously Arians or Brady did not have any nonsense with the vaccination cards. Something Antonio Brown did on his own to try to buck the system. So I don't know. I don't think Brown plays another down in the NFL. It could very likely happen. I think the odds of it would be like 80-20, 90-10, something like that. So yeah, Brown just strikes me as a guy crying wolf. Uh, who's to say if his ankle did he, to me, he didn't file a grievance with the NFLPA because the NFLPA would have investigated it and they would have been on to him rather quickly. The only person who knows if his ankle was really hurt is Antonio Brown, and he's crying wolf till the cows come home about it. So I hope, and like I'm saying, these are players that have to deal with CTE. Dallas scored a touchdown, but they missed the extra point, so it's 23-17 with 2 minutes to go. You don't have that in the other instances of, that we have seen mental issues come up with Osaka and Simone Biles. By the way, what are they doing? When they came out with all the CTE about 10 years ago, and they made a big deal about all of that, and that book came out, League of Denial. They have not really, the NFL has not really made uh, protecting players a priority. It's going to be like boxing one of these days where the boxers are going to take a hit. The boxers are going to have their brains scrambled. And you're seeing that now in football. Maybe protecting these players would cost too much money. I don't know. NFL makes ton of money. Look at the ratings they had a little while back for that Thanksgiving game between the Cowboys and the Raiders. Oh, yeah. That's pretty much how that is. Let's get some comments. I agree. It's hard to see a team taking a chance on him, but who knows? Somebody might. He's been released, so any of the playoff teams could pick him up. But like I said, who in their right minds would touch him? Brown said he's going to coach in the fan control league. Maybe. If a player quits on his team, who's to say that as a coach he would quit on his team? So there's that. Any team that signs Brown, says Steeler fan, will get what they deserve in the end. And the Bucks got what they deserved at the end because they should have cut him after the whole story about the fake vaccinations came out. So the Eagles got a little bit of time to do something here. They only trail by 6. I mentioned this earlier in the chat that I was watching that Denver Kansas City game earlier. So weird to see the college guys call that Fowler and Herbstreit, by the way. But I don't think it's a bad move to have them call football. They know football from college football. There was a situation where it was 28-21, I think, Kansas City. There were about 5 minutes left. Denver had a 4th and 9. They were, I would say, within the closer than the 20-yard line, and it was 5 minutes left, and they kick a field goal. And then Kansas City drove down the length of the field, and they held the ball enough time to run out the clock. It shows you how Denver is a bad team, and I think Fangio might get the axe come tomorrow or Monday. Vic Fangio. I was on with Rob Thursday night, and Harris, you were there too, of course, as one of the guests. And they were talking about Pat Bowlen maybe not wanting to own the Broncos anymore. So maybe they do a total restructuring with the Bronco organization, new owner, new coach. But I won't say that I said watching the game by myself. What are they doing when they did that? It just struck me as an odd move because Kansas City, they're so good on offense, they could run out the clock. Why wouldn't you try to get the touchdown and tie the game? And they'll rue that decision. And sure enough, that's what wound up happening. By the way, Minshew's playing pretty good as the backup. He's 12 for 19, a little over 100 yards, and they're down to the last 37 seconds. He is a total ass, says Harris Shepard. Yeah, yeah, you know, my problem with Brown is what he says doesn't have any credibility. He says his ankle was hurt, and it didn't look like his ankle was hurt when he was walking off the field. And security nearly tackled him at the. I guess where the Jets and the Giants play, they have a brand new stadium name. It used to be MetLife Stadium, but I think somebody got the naming rights to that not too long ago. But yeah, he's taking an Uber to go home. Antonio Brown is that day, and I don't think Brown plays another down in the NFL. I have a hard time believing Urban Meyer is ever going to coach again after that disaster with Jacksonville and the reports that he kicked the player. So the Eagles are punting with 30 seconds to go. Probably too little time for the Cowboys to do something. I'll try to be on here until the Saturday night game ends. It's turned into a good game, and I didn't think it would be. We've had 40 points on the board, and we're just a little before halftime. And that punt might have been partially blocked because it didn't travel far. In fact, it didn't even make it to the first down marker. Cowboys got a chance to get points here. They mark it at the 43 of Philly. So yeah, very poor punt, Harris. Now, was it blocked? Was it partially blocked? No, he just shanked it. He did get contacted by one of the Dallas defenders, but no, that he kicked it off the side of his foot. Shankopotamus there. So yeah, and they show the punter saying something to himself that probably can't be repeated on national television. So Dallas has it at the 43. One completion there in field goal range, and they get it 15-yard line to number one. Dallas still has one timeout. They're trying to keep it, and 17 clock is not. They must have called the timeout because the clock was not moving, and they were hurrying down to the line, and they must have called the timeout with 17 seconds to go. So Dallas could get up more than a score here going to the half, and that'd be good for them. But this playoffs next week that starts next week with 6 games, it's going to be a crapshoot. It's going to be an absolute crapshoot as to who's going to wind up in the Super Bowl. I don't think the Bucks are as good as they were last year. Last year they had that defense come to life, and all year the Bucks defense has been their trouble point. 15-yard line, says Harris. Yep. I might be watching this on a delay, Harris, because I have YouTube TV here, which I love, by the way. It's a lot better than Spectrum Cable, even if things are on a little bit of delay. Prescott through to 88, 89, I beg your pardon, and they're inside the 10, and then made sure to get out of bounds because they have no timeouts left. So second down and a short distance for the Cowboys with 13 seconds to go. Be big if the Cowboys could get a touchdown here. Absolutely big. And I'm going to take a brief intermission once we get to halftime to get some drinks. Non-alcoholic beverages, I will point out. And Prescott is back throwing off the fingertips of 89, who they go to again. And it's 3rd and 4 with 9 seconds to go. So they got time to run 2 plays if they go to the end zone on 3rd down or go to the sidelines. So this is going to work out very well for Dallas. And if they get a field goal here, it would be a chip shot field goal. They'd be up 9 points going to the half at least. So 3rd and 4. Prescott bringing his team to the huddle. And here's the throw by Prescott. Touchdown, Dallas. So they're gonna be up almost 2 scores. But they're gonna be up more than a score. It'll be 29-17 or 30-17. Touchdown. You got it right. And Dallas gets it to start the second half. That's right, because the Eagles started out with the ball. They had a wide receiver in almost at a tight end position, and Prescott knew right where to throw it. Good throw. Right in front of two defenders for the Eagles. So it's 29-17. They're going to put up a 30 here unless they blow the extra point, and it is 30-17. So they put a 30 spot up in the half in one half on Dallas. And Prescott just tied the record for most TDs in a season with Tony Romo in 2007. Yes, I'm reading that off the ABC feed. But of course, he had 17 games to accomplish the 36 touchdowns, whereas Romo only had 16. So Dallas will be up comfortably, and they'll get the ball to start the second half. Dallas's playoff chances. So many teams are Jekyll and Hyde. Uh, Dallas just lost to Arizona last week, and now they have bounced back strong, and they're looking good against Philly. Philly rested a lot of their starters, though. He only played in six. That's right. That's right, Harris. Uh, he only played in 16 games. He sat out one of the games. I know that. So it's fair. It's fair, but that's the problem with expanding the schedule. Is a lot of these records are going to be diluted because a lot of them were set while there was a 16 game season. I hear police sirens. No, it's dogs. Dogs are loose around me. Now, where I'm living in Seminole, it's I'm on 5 acres, uh, and the dogs quickly go away. Thank you very much for that. And there is an alarm system that would go off if somebody had breached the gate. The lady who used to this used to be a nursery here in Seminole, Oakhurst Nursery, and one of my childhood friends bought the place and was allowing me to live here. It's been converted into a home. So it's a strange layout because in my bedroom there's a porch. So I'm okay. I'm okay, guys. Talk later. I'm going to go live with Rob. Okay. Rob is back at it. Good, 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 good. Harris, I hope you'll be with me Tuesday night when I'll be chatting with Rob and doing the NFL predictions. We played in 16 games. Guys, I'm going to take a brief break myself. I'm going to go grab some more green tea. I'll put my banner up. And I'm going to be right back. Chat amongst yourselves. Chat amongst yourselves if you can. If there are enough of you to chat amongst yourselves. And I will be right back, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Stand by. One thing, one of my legs is a little stiff when I get up. Okay, guys, be right back. By the way, this could also explain what was going on. This could explain what was going on with the dogs barking. Let's see here, banner. Shut off the banner. There we go. What was going on with the dogs barking that I could hear? I don't know if you all could have heard it. There is a dog park to the south of me. Um, if I walked south past the barn that's out in the backyard, if I kept walking south, I would run into a dog park, Bogosiega Millennium Park here in Seminole. And they use part of that as a dog park. So maybe that's what I was hearing. Bogosiega is also the name of a high school in this area. And maybe I could just throw this out as a trivia question. What professional wrestler wrestled in high school at Bogosiega? See if anybody gets that. He was just on a podcast a few weeks back. Bogosiega High School in St. Petersburg. He was not known as the name he would have in the ring, but I'll just throw that out there. Hey BP, got a schedule of vids or what games will be featured on your channel? Still working on that. We're doing PWT every 3 or 4 days as the world champ defends his title. I was gonna do that today, but I had audio problems with that, so I just ran another circuit. The good thing about running 6 matches and that's it on PWT is these cards go by like that. I could do a card in an hour, run the matches through wrestling's finest, and it doesn't take it takes an hour for me to compile the stats. I still do ratings, although the rankings are a little different, which I'm going to explain once we get into the second month of PWT. Instead of a 4-point system, I use a 10-point system and use a sliding scale depending on who's doing better than who. When I resume the HTFL, that'll be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 5 games each week. We did the first week of season 2 before everything happened, and I want to get back to that. I'm going to try to start that either this week or next, and it'll like be Monday through Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Bandwidth here is pretty good. I'm on Wi-Fi, but got an excellent bandwidth. You just got to keep everything as close to the modem as you can, which is why I was doing the first video I did on the 31st. I did from my bedroom, and the lighting was piss poor. But now I have moved this to the living room, and everything's a little better. You could see the wooden roof, and you could see the acoustics sound a little better, at least to my ears, and because I'm on the microphone. That doesn't really translate all that well. But yeah, I want to try to get on a schedule, and then eventually I want to like do videos on Twitch live, and then do the 24-hour turnaround. So maybe I can make a little bit of money off of this. I'm not going to make a lot. Nobody who does the sports gaming hobby makes a lot of money. I don't think, unless somebody is sponsoring them. So I want to get back on Twitch. And of course, everybody plays video games on Twitch, so I'd kind of like be a little fish in a big pond. But that's pretty much the goals of the channel. Hoping another thing I would want to do is I want to try to get green screen. Maybe we play around with that. Have a green screen behind me, and I could superimpose. Like if I'm doing a football game, I could do what they did back on CBS back in the 70s and 80s, and like act like the how do I say this? If you looked at CBS games or NBC games in the 70s, 80s, maybe into the 90s, they would superimpose the announcers behind the shot of the stadium, let's say. Or when they did the games in Tampa Stadium, they just put the announcers out in like a little ledge, and they would do their spiel, and then maybe they recorded like 5-10 minutes in advance, and they run in and they call the game. Like for instance, I think when they did the All Madden documentary that just aired on Fox right before John passed away, they were showing a video of Madden doing his first game with Pat Summerall. And they would put Madden and Summerall out on this ledge, and then they would call the game. It was Bucks and the Vikings, and I remember it very well because the Bucks would have made it to the playoffs with a win, and they lost by 1 point. It was a mixed extra point. So my trivia question again is: what professional wrestler graduated Bogosiega High School and wrestled as an amateur under his real name? Uh, there are a lot of guys in wrestling that grew up here in the Tampa Bay area because back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, CWF was a thing here. And got a lot of guys that graduated the local high schools here in the Tampa Bay area, both sides, Pinellas and Hillsborough. Pinellas is where Clearwater and St. Pete is, and Hillsborough is where Tampa is. Just like to give a little guide to Tampa Bay. And of course, Tampa has most of the stadiums. They have the stadium the Bucks play, Raymond James, and they have the stadium the Lightning play, which is in the Amalie Arena. And Pinellas still has where the Rays play, which is Tropicana Field, although probably not for long. Rays might split their games with Montreal in upcoming seasons. So there's that. So it's 30-17 Cowboys at the half. I will keep you posted on the game. Just kind of keep it on the sidelines as we do this chat. Thank you for all coming out. First chat I have had back since the return of the channel. Tell you some other channels I like. One of the things I would watch pretty religiously when I got out of the hospital that month or so between uh, my re- my getting out of the hospital and coming over here to Seattle was a channel called Big Rig Travels. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of that. And it's this trucker who, for many years now, I've got about 9-10 years, he goes around the country moving moving his hauls around, and he right now he's in California, but he goes all over. One week he'll be in Virginia, one week he'll be in the Midwest, and then another week he'll be out west. Like right now, he's going back and forth between San Francisco and Los Angeles. I think he was going down. He went over the Golden Gate Bridge today, and it's nice to see parts of the country you're not familiar with. Like around Christmas time, I think he was in Chicago, and then he got moved to. He had to take a trip out west to Nevada, and that was around the time that Lake Tahoe got a whole bunch of snow. Northern Nevada got a whole bunch of snow. So there's this channel. Channel that got mentioned in that channel was Katina Eats Kilos. That's another channel I've been following a little bit. Competitive eating. Has created a whole bunch of YouTubers, and there's this bodybuilder who's probably a little over 5 feet tall, like and you don't have to be a bodybuilder to be a competitive eater. There are so many competitive eaters on YouTube, and some of them are just average looking people. It's kind of funny that that's a sport. You could call it a sport. I don't know if you would call eating a sport. Would you call having sex a sport? I don't know. Some people do. But if you look at these competitive eaters, there are some that you have all shapes and sizes that could do that. Some very small women, some rather larger guys, and I guess it all depends on your stomach muscles and what you can eat and what you can hold down. So I was watching that in between restarting this channel and the end of my hospitalization. So they're getting ready to start the second half. Oh, Prescott's had a big game already, 244 yards. And they're showing highlights of the first half, and they're playing around with the telestrators. Um, so we will press on here, see if anybody had any comments. Somebody was asking on Rob's channel, and hello, Rob. If you watch this later, famous places. The one famous ballpark or building, sports building that I said Wrigley Field. I thought Wrigley Field, because of its history, would be a good place. Fenway Park would be right up there. Excuse me again, folks. Burping is getting out of hand. And what events I would like to see? I would like to see the Army Navy game is one that stands out for me because I enjoy watching that on CBS every year because my dad was in the Army way back when. Then I said the World Cup final. I had already been to a Super Bowl, Super Bowl 25. So I also said the World Series. I said World Series. Go to a World Series game. Maybe the Rays will play well enough to make a World Series again. Of course, they didn't make it last year. The Red Sox knocked them out. But the year before, they could have had World Series games here, but that was the year of COVID, and they did a neutral site World Series. Now, that would be an idea for baseball. Have each team in the World Series have each team have 3 games at home, and then have the 7th game at a neutral site. Of course, not every World Series will go 7 games. Of course, the last series, Braves and the Astros, I think the Braves won it in 6. Uh, Congratulations to the Atlanta Braves, by the way, on that. They were once my favorite team back in the 90s. And I lived in the Atlanta area. I lived in Marietta for a little bit in 1996. Looks awful cold in Philadelphia. I know when the game started, it was in the high 20s up there. Uh, and they're talking something or other. Dallas has the ball. They're up 30-17. The second half just started. See if I missed anything. No. Chat has quieted down a little bit. So anyway, Ezekiel Elliott just ran it for almost 10 yards, second in a short situation for the Cowboys. Elliott has 62 yards on 10 carries, so that's a 6.2 clip for him. So anyway, forgot to ask Al how he liked the Legends of Boxing because I see him playing it all the time. That and Wrestling's Finest. Luke Brown, sorry, I'm looking for a new Christmas tree. Yeah. One of the sad things about moving was I had to get rid of a lot of my Christmas stuff uh, because I wouldn't have had the boxes to move it. I got rid of most of my Christmas stuff that stayed in my family for years. But I'm hoping that when we get to Christmas of 2022 into the new year of 2023, I will be able to get some stuff. I couldn't bring everything with me, and unfortunately, a lot of my Christmas ornaments that have been in my family for years had to go. But I only had a finite number of boxes. I had like 30 large boxes and about 20 some odd small boxes. And the landlord where I am at now, she gave me about 8 to 10 medium-sized boxes. So I got to do that this fall. I got to start some new Christmas traditions uh, with some new stuff. And yeah, Prescott nearly got sacked, or did he get sacked? They didn't let the video go. Yeah, he slipped out of one, and he was able to get out of it. Okay, 4th in a yard. Dallas will punt, so there goes their advantage, and now the Eagles can try to climb the mountain of being 13 points down. hard to find one online right now. Luke, that's very true. Moving here to what used to be the Oakhurst Nursery, I had to get some adapters for uh, some of the electrical sockets here because they were only two prong, and I had to get a for me to have a living room. For about a week or so, I was watching everything in my bedroom, YouTube TV and so forth. I had to get adapters. Uh, so you plug in a three prong electrical, and it turns it into two prong. It was like a grounding thing. But they USP they must be having problems at these processing centers because my product could have been as late as getting it Monday, but I got it Thursday. There a few of the things that I had to get for my move, and now to set up the living room here. They would sit in these USPS processing centers, and they would just sit on them, and they would be backed up to where they would just sit there and sit there and sit there, and you wouldn't get your product for a few days. Like I got about 20 some odd small boxes for my move, and I couldn't get them, and I was freaking out. I'm like, oh my god, don't these people, I need these for my move. Uh, so yeah, hard to find one online right now. But I think that's the whole. I think that might be a byproduct of the whole shipping situation going on in LA. Uh, but I think they're having problems right now. The mail's having problems, and of course, COVID probably has a lot to do with that too. Uh, so it is what it is, and I hope it improves soon. Because if I go on Walmart.com, if I go and I see products, but they say 3+ day shipping, I would try to avoid that like the plague. I needed a microwave for my for the kitchen here, and I was able to get that quick through Walmart.com. But Walmart is hit or miss right now on a lot of things. Um, the microwave I had from Pinellas Park crapped out on me like a week before my move. So I had to get a new one, and I was able to get that fine. But like I said, it's hit or miss right now. It's hit or miss right now with everything that you can get shipping wise. But it also depends on who's carrying what. I haven't talked to Anthony Crooks in a while. I would kind of curious as to how he's been getting through the whole shipping situation with his the Glory Days boxing. I know he's been playing around with Legends of Boxing, and that's on my wish list. Legends of Boxing, along with some of the newer games. Oh, Luke, probably gonna also bring back the OOTP Perfect Team series I have been doing. I want to get that going again too. I'm up to six perfect players on my team, and when I stopped doing that series, I was like I think I only had like one, Ozzie Smith. So I want to get back to doing that relatively soon, and do that once a week up until OOTP 23 gets released, which will probably be like March, April or so. I wonder what they'll come out with this time with the OOTP. The perfect draft feature was kind of nice. Been doing well with that one. I've been using it. And of course, now they came out with the daily rewards if you log in. They've kind of made that, the games that you could play on your iPhone, like I like the solitaire cash, and I like the bingo games. I have two bingo games on my phone. Oh, sweet. Love the OOTP series. Yeah. It'll probably take me a few minutes to explain what I have been doing over the months. But if you play OOTP, you play that perfect team, make sure you log in every day because those rewards pile up. Uh, Uh, it was something that came along after I discontinued the series for a bit. So, yeah, I need to do videos of that soon and explain what's been happening with the team. I did win a championship in one of my leagues Christmas week, the week of Christmas. So like silver level maybe. I'll look that up when I do that series again. But I want to get back to doing that too. Forgot about OOTP. I have a team of all perfect players and still still in your silver. Yeah, but I've been commenting. I was commenting on that before I got sick. That you could have a very good team. You could have like I have 6 perfect players on my team, and you could still be in like silver league or bronze league or thereabouts. Uh, I guess the difference is you gotta find the strengths and weaknesses of a lot of these players. You can't have a team of all power hitters, and you can't have a team of all power pitchers. You can't have guys that are very high, have very high stuff ratings, and that's how that works. Jason Huntley having a good game for the Eagles, 4 carries for 39. They still trail by 13 with 10 minutes left in the third. And another good run there, 5 yards. That was Huntley again. Say goodnight, Chet. Okay. So I'll answer the trivia question here. Uh, the wrestler who came from Bogosiega High School, if you had guessed Buzz Sawyer, you would be wrong. Buzz comes from what they now call Hollins High School in the Kansas City area, just to the south of me. Used to be Dixie Hollins, but they got rid of the Dixie part of the school. Uh, Ricky Steamboat. Ricky Steamboat's the answer to the question. He was Richard Blood, and he wrestled amateur in high school under that name at Bogosiega. And yeah, people don't remember that he's a local graduate here in Pinellas County. Guy who told me that. Sorry, folks, gotta clean up my nose a little bit. One of my middle school teachers told me that many years ago that Ricky Steamboat was Richard Blood, who was an amateur wrestler back in the day, and that's how he got discovered by I think it was Eddie Graham. I think he had a bout with Mike Graham back when Mike was still in school. And Mike turned pro, I want to say 72 or 73 here in Florida. Mike Graham was a very decent wrestler. Was one of the backbones of CWF for many years. He committed suicide a few years back, which was a shame because that's what his father did in 1985, famously, and that was the beginning of the end for CWF. I think, if I remember correctly, Eddie had a real estate deal go sour on him, and that's why he uh, extinguished himself. I'm sorry to say. Okay, Luca is asking a good question about Kansas City. Did you have any thoughts on Kansas City win earlier, or did you talk about it? I'd love to talk about it again, Luke. It was a good win for them. It was a game that Denver seemed that they could have won. But they had that fumble, which one of the Kansas City defenders returned 86 yards for a touchdown. That scoop of the score, as Chris Fowler called it. Uh, Kansas City is gonna be a force. I would not be the least bit surprised the way these playoffs are shaping up that Kansas City makes the Super Bowl a third straight year. And these days, New England being an exception that proves the rule, I guess. Kansas City going to 3 straight Super Bowls is something that's an accomplishment if they could pull it off. Now they're going to have to win a road game. It looks like in the playoffs because they're probably going to be unless Tennessee has a disaster with the Texans tomorrow, and the Texans are playing a little better. They were playing a little better until I think it was they got blown out by the Patriots. last week. If the Titans are the number one seed, then Kansas City is going to have to go through them to win an AFC championship. But the way everybody has been playing this season, I wouldn't doubt anything. I wouldn't doubt Tampa Bay losing in the first round. I wouldn't doubt the Rams beating Tampa Bay again if they wound up beating. And we don't know the brackets yet because everybody's got to play that last game. Dallas leading right now 30-17. So if they win, Tampa Bay's got to win, and they would be a 3 seed if just that happens. But if LA loses to the 49ers tomorrow, then Tampa Bay has a shot at the 2 seed, I think. So it's going to be a very interesting playoff round. So yeah, Kansas City has just about as much chance at making the Super Bowl as anybody. Of course, there's now question as to where they're going to play the Super Bowl, because it could be Dallas now that winds up hosting Super Bowl because LA has an indoor mask mandate. California does, and the league might want to go another direction in terms of that. And did Philadelphia just score? Let me see here. No, an incomplete pass. It was one of those balls that was off the hands of his receiver. Gardner Minshew is looking around a bit disgruntled. The officiating, there was a flag, could be pass interference against Dallas. They're all talking about it now. They having looks like for officials an animated discussion. I'm watching this without sound, so let's see. 19 was on a pattern and 28 made contact. Oh, yeah, I think that could be pass interference. And the ruling is no. No pass interference. And we go to the next down. Okay. Okay. There was contact, but I guess the officiating crew said and it went right through his hands. It went right through number 18 or number 19's hands. So there was that too. He still had a chance at it. JJ Arcega. So he was wearing 19, and now it's a 2nd and 10 for the Eagles. A screen pass, and that does not find the mark. Incomplete and a marker. 3rd and 10 coming up. Yeah, every team's got a shot. You could make an argument for each of the 14 teams that are going to make the playoffs. Some we don't know yet. The most disappointed team, I think, this year in the NFL was the Browns. I had high hopes for Cleveland based on them making the final 8 last year, they got eliminated by KC. I thought Cleveland would do well, but Baker Mayfield has not matured the way a lot of the experts thought he would. So there's that. And Cleveland will pretty much have to start over with a new quarterback because I'm pretty sure Mayfield's going to be traded and play somewhere else. But was Mayfield playing hurt? That's an open question. I know for a while he was, but still, you look at his stats and all those interceptions he was throwing. I don't know what team would take a chance on them. I don't know what team at all would take a chance on Baker Mayfield. Of course, he had that commercial series at home with Baker Mayfield. Uh, Whoever was producing that, they'll probably have to find another pitch man. Yeah, the receivers for the Eagles are letting this Minshew down. 3 good passes that could have been caught in that last sequence. So the Eagles try a field goal, which is good, and it's 30-20. Now, of course, they're playing in colder weather. It's in the 20s in Philadelphia, but they were all wearing gloves, so you got to make those catches. No 2 ways about it. You got to make those catches. Hey, sorry, BP, but I gotta go. Lots of laundry to do. Oh yeah, I'll gotta do that tonight, or tomorrow, or Monday, depending on when I get around to it. Glad to see you back. Thank you, Luke. Thank you. I'm good. I'm glad to be back. Any day above ground for me right now is a good day. We could laugh about it, but it's true. And with that, guys, would you mind if I mosey on out of here? I'll see what Rob's up to on his chat, maybe, if he's still going. So let me get on out of here. I was on here for at least a couple of hours, yes. And we'll put this in the archives and make it a part of history. I'm glad to be here. Don't know when I'll be doing a live chat again. I'll give you all a little bit more of a heads up. And I want to bring the meat back. Like I said, I was saying that earlier. I want to bring the meat back, and which was the series I was doing of interviews. We had Tom Vogel on once. We had Anthony Crooks on once. Uh, we've had some others on. We had Rob on once, and I filled in for. I've been a guest on Al Red Sox fans shows a few times. So I definitely want to get back into doing chats and being on chats now that the home front is looking a little better. So with that, I'm going to bid you all adieu. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. And as always, Godspeed and God bless. And we'll do it all again real soon. Good to be with you. Bye bye for now, everybody.